Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for letting me sit in on the committee today and participate. I thank our witnesses and everyone here that's come to the committee hearing. Elections have consequences, and certainly we are living through the consequences. We have wide open borders with over 5.3 million people who have attempted to come into our country. Fentanyl is now the #1 cause of death of young people from ages 18 to 45. We also have the very unfortunate circumstance of possibly moving towards World War III with the escalation of the war in Ukraine and the United States backing it. And then something I care a lot about is our kids. Unfortunately, there is a trans ideology that is coming after our children, and I think that's something. So elections have consequences, and the 2020 election had consequences. And according to polling as recent as June 2023, only 32% of all voters, Republican, Democrat, Independent, believe that there was no cheating in 2020. So this is a very important hearing, and this is an important bill that is being presented before you. And in coming up on the 2024 election, 54% of all voters expect voter fraud. So I'm very glad to be participating. For my role in the ACE Act, I've introduced the District of Columbia Voter Identification Act, which will be an important piece of this package, hopefully to be brought forward as a model for all states. This requires voter ID, and the reason why we introduced this is because in the District of Columbia, they wanted to let anyone vote, foreigners, illegals, anyone that lived in the District of Columbia, including foreign nationals, diplomats, and that shouldn't be happening. So there will be no illegal aliens voting, and I think that's important. And also, it requires ID, and ID is important. It requires driver's licenses, a passport, military photo ID, student ID, or the last 4 digits of the voter's social security number. This is an important issue because ID is required not only for many things like buying alcohol if you're 21 years of age, but also to receive SNAP benefits, which many poor people unfortunately do have to receive. They also have to prove identity, ID, like a social security number. I don't think ID is a race issue. ID is part of being a U.S. citizen, and it should be a requirement to vote. And this is something that should be required for everyone. So I don't think there should be any partiality or be considered racist. So I'd like to ask our panel here, Dr. Ruth, do you consider IDs to be racist?
I do not.
Okay. Mr. Spakowski?
I do not. And I do not, and the evidence shows they're not.
Okay. Ms. Nureddin?
I believe ID is important, however, there must be a
Microphone.
I believe ID is important. I agree, definitely. However, there must be a reasonable remedy for people who are challenged in this way. What I fear is that someone who's eligible to vote who may not have ID can't. And so, no, I don't want non-citizens.
But it's not racist as long as everyone's able to get an ID. Thank you, Ms. Nureddin. Ms. Woodward, I'm sorry, Ms. Woolard.
It's Willard. By definition, IDs can't be racist, but I do think that the lack of IDs in a county like Fulton County, where we have the highest level of income inequality in the country, presents certain challenges for people.
Ms. Woolard, it could only be racist if we're identifying someone's skin color, not their citizenship in the country. Thank you for answering my question. Now, another thing to talk about for the state of Georgia is the fact that my former husband was told when he went to vote in 2020 that he had already voted by absentee ballot. He never requested an absentee ballot form. He never turned in an absentee ballot to vote, and he wanted to vote in person. He was forced to sign an affidavit at that time surrendering a ballot he never voted on in order to vote in person in the 2020 election. He was called a liar. I was called a liar. He hired an attorney, did a FOIA request, And it proved, after the FOIA and all the work was done, there was never an absentee ballot turned in his name, never a request form with an envelope turned in his name. But the Secretary of State said that he voted by absentee ballot. And the Secretary of State has never answered our question on why that's happened. So I just wanted to state that for the record today. There's definitely problems in elections. SB 202 has done a great job in turnout, giving a 57% higher than national midterm average of 52%. But there definitely is a cause, and this is why people are here, and they care about our elections. Thank you very much.